Ethan was born into a world of luxury, surrounded by every comfort money could buy, yet he had never seen a single color, a single shape, or a single smile. From the moment he opened his eyes as a baby, there was only darkness, and no doctor, no medicine, and no treatment had ever been able to change that. His parents, both successful and wealthy, tried everything, traveling across cities, consulting the most famous specialists, and even seeking advice from foreign experts, but nothing worked. With every failed attempt, the shadow of hopelessness grew heavier in their hearts. Despite the riches in their mansion, Ethan's family lived in a quiet, anxious world, where laughter often ended in sighs, and joy was mixed with concern. His father, a man who controlled empires and commanded attention everywhere, felt powerless when it came to his own son. The glittering parties and expensive gifts could not fill the emptiness in Ethan's life, nor could they replace the simple miracle of sight. His mother, gentle and kind, spent hours holding Ethan's tiny hands, trying to teach him about the world in ways that he could feel, touch, and hear. Every day, she would describe the sky, the trees, and the faces of their friends, hoping that her words could paint the unseen colors in his mind. Ethan, too, was aware that he was different. He could hear birds singing, feel the warmth of sunlight on his skin, and notice the smallest changes in the wind, yet he often wondered what it meant to see a flower, a smile, or the eyes of his parents looking back at him. While other children in the city could run and play with the gift of vision, Ethan's world was limited to sounds, textures, and the love of those who cared for him. Still, he had a quiet strength, an inner light that refused to be dimmed by darkness. The mansion was filled with tutors, caregivers, and gadgets designed to help Ethan experience life as fully as possible, but no matter how advanced the technology, it could not replace the miracle of true sight. Sometimes, he would sit by the large windows of his room, feeling the cool glass under his fingers, imagining what the world beyond could be. He would listen to the laughter of children in the garden, the chirping of birds on the trees, and the rustling of leaves, and he would try to picture it in his mind, but the images never fully formed, and the frustration of living in darkness often made him feel lonely. Despite all this, Ethan had something special, an extraordinary ability to notice the details others often ignored. He could hear the softest whispers, sense the tiniest movements, and feel emotions with an intensity that was rare for someone his age. People who met him were often struck by his awareness, and even though he could not see them, he seemed to know them deeply. His parents, though worried, admired this gift, recognizing that while blindness took away something precious, it had also given Ethan a unique way of experiencing the world. At night, Ethan would lie in his room and listen to his mother read stories of magical lands, colorful creatures, and adventures beyond imagination. He would close his eyes and imagine walking through forests, swimming in oceans, and climbing mountains. The words became his vision, and the stories gave him a sense of freedom that he could not otherwise experience. But as the years passed, a quiet longing grew in his heart, a desire to see, to touch the colors with his eyes rather than just with imagination. The people around him often wondered how he managed to remain cheerful, but Ethan's spirit was unbroken. He had learned to adapt, to find beauty in sounds, textures, and the love surrounding him. Yet, every birthday, every celebration, every day spent looking out at the world that remained invisible to him reminded him of the one thing he longed for the most, the yearning to see the world, to recognize the faces of those he loved, and to experience the simple joy of vision was something that weighed on him quietly, shaping his character and deepening his patience and empathy. Though Ethan's life was filled with sadness and longing, it was also filled with love, hope, and resilience. He had never seen the sun rise over the city, never witnessed the sparkle of stars in the night sky, yet he felt them in a way that touched his soul. His family, too, despite all their wealth, realized that the true richness of life was not in possessions or luxury, but in the hope for a miracle, in the love they shared, and in the possibility that one day, darkness might give way to light. And so, in the midst of the grand mansion, filled with both splendor and sorrow, Ethan's story began, not with sight, but with the anticipation of something extraordinary, something that could change his life forever, something that would take him from a world of darkness to a world he had only dreamed of. Ethan's blindness was a constant shadow over the family, one that no amount of money or luxury could chase away. His parents, despite being surrounded by wealth and comfort, felt an emptiness that no gold or mansion could fill. They had tried everything to give him the life they wished for, but every attempt ended in frustration and heartbreak. Each failed treatment, each doctor's disappointed shake of the head, made the reality harder to accept. They often stayed awake at night, sitting in the quiet halls of their grand home, speaking in whispers about the possibility of a miracle that might never come. His father, a man used to controlling empires and making impossible decisions, felt powerless in the face of his son's condition. The pride and confidence that he carried in every business deal seemed meaningless here. He spent hours reviewing medical records, calling specialists, and searching for experimental treatments, hoping that somewhere in the world, a solution existed that could open Ethan's eyes. His mother, soft-spoken and tender, spent her days teaching Ethan about life through touch, sound, and stories. She would guide his hands over flowers in the garden, letting him feel the petals and stems, describing the colors he could not see, trying to paint a world with words. Despite all the care and attention, there were moments when despair would creep into the mansion, filling every room with quiet sadness. The house, with its sparkling chandeliers and elegant furniture, often felt strangely empty, as if the beauty around Ethan was meaningless because he could not experience it. His parents watched other children play outside, run freely in the sun, and create memories filled with laughter. And they wished Ethan could do the same. It was painful to accept that no matter how many resources they had, they could not change the simple, vital fact that their son could not see. Ethan, however, was not unaware of his differences. He had an understanding far beyond his years, sensing the emotions of those around him and the subtle changes in the world. He could hear the distant sound of a carriage wheels on the street, notice the tiniest rustle of leaves, and even sense when someone entered a room. While other children might take their sight for granted, Ethan's blindness had sharpened his other senses, giving him a depth of perception that made him remarkable. Yet, despite his strengths, he felt a quiet longing in his heart, a desire to see what others could see, to witness the colors of a sunset, the expressions on people's faces, and the beauty of life unfolding. Every day brought new challenges, and even the simplest activities required patience, perseverance, and guidance. Walking through the house, feeling the textures of furniture and walls, identifying objects by touch, and navigating the world by sound were all part of his daily routine. Yet, for Ethan, these adaptations were not just necessary, they were a way of life. They taught him resilience, awareness, and empathy, skills that many people spend a lifetime learning. His parents often marveled at his ability to adapt, realizing that although his blindness limited his experience of the world, it had also shaped him into someone truly extraordinary. Despite these lessons, the longing for sight never faded. It was a quiet ache that followed Ethan everywhere, especially during moments of stillness. When he sat in the garden, listening to the wind and the birds, he imagined the colors and shapes he could never see, and a sense of yearning would fill him. His parents, watching him with both love and sadness, felt the weight of every lost opportunity. Every day, every glance at his small hands, every description of the world they offered, reminded them of what he was missing, and they prayed silently for a miracle, hoping against hope that someday, the darkness surrounding him would lift. Yet, amid the struggle and sorrow, the family never gave up. Their love for Ethan was unwavering, and their determination to find a solution never weakened. They held on to the belief that miracles were possible, that perhaps, somewhere, someone or something could bring light into Ethan's life. This struggle, filled with challenges, emotions, and relentless hope, set the stage for a life-changing event. One that would soon arrive unexpectedly and alter everything for Ethan and his family. Life in the grand mansion had grown into a routine of quiet hope and lingering sorrow. Yet one ordinary morning, a new presence entered their world, a presence that would change everything in ways no one could imagine. A young girl named Lily arrived unexpectedly, carrying only a small leather bag and a sense of calm determination that seemed almost magical. Her arrival was simple, unnoticed by the staff at first, but there was something about her that made even the wealthy household feel a little less heavy, a little lighter, as if her presence brought a subtle warmth into the mansion. Lily was unlike anyone Ethan had ever met. She had a soft voice, the kind that could soothe restless hearts, and her eyes shone with a curiosity and kindness that drew people in. She seemed to notice everything, the tiniest details, the faintest sounds, and the emotions that lingered in a room. when she first met Ethan, she spoke gently to him, never treating him with pity or excessive care, but as if she understood him in a way that no one else could. The moment she held his small hand, Ethan felt a strange sense of trust, a feeling that he was safe, and perhaps, that something extraordinary might happen. Lily had come at the request of a distant relative, who had heard stories of a mysterious remedy, an ancient eye solution that was said to work miracles. She had spent years learning about rare natural treatments, and though she knew nothing was guaranteed, she carried the vial with quiet confidence, believing in its potential and in the importance of hope. She had traveled miles to reach Ethan, and now, standing in the family's ornate drawing room, she was ready to do whatever she could. Ethan's parents were skeptical at first. As much as they wanted a miracle, they had been disappointed too many times to allow themselves to believe easily. They studied Lily closely, noticing her calm composure and unwavering determination. But how could a simple girl, with nothing more than a small vial and a kind heart, make a difference when some of the best doctors in the world had failed? Still, there was something different about her. A quiet strength and a sense of purpose that made them pause. Something about Lily's presence gave them a faint flicker of hope, a feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, this visit could be the beginning of a true miracle. Lily wasted no time with empty promises. She began by talking to Ethan, explaining in soft, clear words what the solution was and how it might help. She encouraged him to trust her, to open his heart even if he could not yet open his eyes. Her approach was gentle, never forcing, always patient. She wanted Ethan to believe, and in doing so, to give the remedy a chance to work. Her kindness was magnetic, and soon, Ethan felt a connection that he had never experienced before, a sense that someone truly understood him. Over the next few days, Lily stayed at the mansion, working carefully with Ethan, teaching him about the solution and guiding him through small exercises to prepare for its use. She spoke of hope and miracles not as fantasies, but as possibilities. She reminded him that even in darkness, there was light waiting, and that sometimes, the world could surprise us in ways we never imagined. Ethan listened intently, sensing the sincerity in her voice, feeling the gentle confidence that seemed to radiate from her. He had been told many things in his life, but none had inspired the quiet belief in something extraordinary like Lily did. The bond between Lily and Ethan grew stronger with every passing day. She became more than a healer or a guide. She became a friend, a mentor, and a source of hope. Her presence transformed the mansion, bringing laughter, curiosity, and excitement into rooms that had been filled with quiet sadness. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt that maybe, just maybe, his life could change. That the darkness that had been his constant companion could be lifted, not by money, not by machines, but by hope, care, and a mysterious solution carried in a small vial by a remarkable girl. And so, as the sun set over the grand mansion, casting golden light across the gardens and halls, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Something important, something miraculous, was about to happen, something that would change Ethan's life forever, and Lily, with her quiet confidence and unshakable belief, was at the center of it, ready to turn hope into reality. The day had arrived when the mysterious eye solution would finally meet Ethan's eyes. The atmosphere in the mansion was filled with a quiet tension, a mix of hope and fear that seemed to vibrate through every room. Ethan's parents watched from a distance, their hearts heavy with anticipation. Their wealth and power, all the grand things they had achieved in life, felt meaningless in this moment, because nothing mattered more than whether their son would finally see the world. Lily, calm and focused, prepared the small vial with care, her hand steady, her mind fully present. She spoke softly to Ethan, telling him exactly what to expect, explaining that it might feel strange at first, that he might be nervous, but that she would be with him every step of the way. Ethan's fingers trembled slightly as he reached for the vial, a mixture of curiosity, fear, and excitement washing over him. He had dreamed of this moment for years, imagining what it might be like to finally see, but now that it was here, the reality felt both thrilling and terrifying. He trusted Lily completely, sensing that she would never let harm come to him, that she genuinely believed in the possibility of a miracle. Her presence was like a steady light in the darkness, guiding him through the uncertainty. His parents leaned close, holding their breath. Their eyes followed every movement, every gesture, as if watching could somehow influence the outcome. The doctors, who had been invited to witness the attempt, exchanged skeptical glances, polite doubt etched on their faces. They had seen countless treatments fail before, and the thought that a simple solution could work seemed impossible, yet, even they could not deny the calm confidence emanating from Lily, a quiet assurance that made the room feel different, lighter somehow. Lily gently tilted Ethan's head, ensuring that he was comfortable, and slowly, carefully, she applied a single drop of the solution to his eye. The moment seemed to stretch endlessly, time itself holding its breath. Ethan blinked once, then twice, feeling an unfamiliar sensation, a coolness and warmth that traveled through his eye. It was strange, unfamiliar, but not unpleasant. It was as if a tiny spark of something extraordinary had touched the darkness he had known all his life. For the first few moments, nothing changed, and Ethan's parents held their breath, fearing another disappointment. The tension was almost unbearable, the silence in the room broken only by Lily's soft encouragement, telling him to stay calm, to trust his senses, and to be patient. She spoke in a rhythm that seemed to soothe the nervous energy, grounding Ethan and filling him with confidence. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Ethan began to notice shapes, outlines that were not there before, faint, shadowy hints of the world around him began to form, like the first brushstrokes of a painting. A small gasp escaped his lips, and his mother rushed forward, wrapping him in her arms. Her tears fell freely, a mixture of relief, hope, and disbelief. For a moment, it was as if the entire world had stopped, watching, waiting to see what would happen next. Ethan's father, usually so composed, could barely speak, his emotions threatening to overwhelm him. He reached out to touch his son's face, careful and tender, afraid to disturb the fragile miracle that had begun to unfold. Ethan blinked again, and this time, the shapes became clearer. Slight colors appeared at the edges of his vision, faint but undeniable. He could see the outlines of his mother's fingers, the gentle curve of her face, the way the sunlight fell on the marble floors. Even in these first moments, the world was more beautiful than he had imagined, more vivid than any story his mother had told him. It was as if the darkness that had been his companion for so long had begun to dissolve, revealing a world he had longed to explore. Lily smiled softly, sensing the breakthrough. Her heart swelled with quiet joy, knowing that the first step had been taken, that the seed of hope she had carried with her for so long was finally growing. Ethan's parents embraced Lily with gratitude, tears streaming down their faces. Their son's first experience of sight was more than a miracle, it was a promise of the life he had always deserved. And in that quiet, golden afternoon, in the grand mansion filled with anticipation and love, Ethan took his first real look at the world, a world he had only dreamed of, and a world that was about to become his own, forever changed by a small vial, a brave girl, and a moment of courage. After that first miraculous drop of the eye solution, life in the mansion felt different, as if the air itself had shifted, carrying a sense of anticipation that had been absent for so many years. Ethan began noticing things that he had never imagined possible, small, subtle changes at first, the outline of the curtains, the soft glow of sunlight streaming through the windows, the faint colors of the flowers in the garden. These tiny details made his heart race. For the first time, he realized that the world might be even more beautiful than he had ever imagined in his mind. Every sound he had known for years, the laughter of his parents, the rustling leaves, the distant call of birds, now seemed connected to shapes and colors, giving them meaning in a way he had never experienced. At first, Ethan was cautious, almost afraid to believe in the miracle. He would blink and look around, squinting as he tried to process the new information flooding his senses. The mansion, which had always been familiar through touch and sound, now seemed alive in a completely new way. Each object, each surface, each person had a dimension he had never known, and he marveled at the feeling of recognition that came with sight. His parents watched closely, noticing the wonder in his expression, the widening of his eyes as he took in the world that had long been hidden from him. Their hearts swelled with emotion, a mixture of relief, pride, and awe. Every day, Ethan's vision improved slightly, the world slowly revealing itself like the turning pages of a long-forgotten book. Colors became richer, sharper, and more vivid. Shadows and light danced across the rooms, creating patterns that fascinated him. The simplest things, a red rose in the garden, the golden light of morning, the gentle smile of his mother, filled him with an overwhelming sense of joy. Each new detail brought a rush of excitement, a tiny spark of hope that grew brighter with every passing moment. Lily stayed by his side, guiding him through these first discoveries. Her calm presence helped Ethan navigate the overwhelming sensations, teaching him to focus on one thing at a time. Her encouragement was steady, never rushed or demanding, allowing Ethan to explore the world at his own pace. She explained that patience was part of the process, that miracles sometimes unfolded slowly, and that each small improvement was a victory in itself. Ethan trusted her completely, feeling that with her help, he could begin to understand the vast, colorful world around him. His parents, who had spent years feeling helpless, began to see glimmers of the future they had always dreamed for their son. They watched Ethan reach out to touch objects while simultaneously seeing them, marveling at the connection between his hands and his eyes. Every tiny improvement felt monumental, a confirmation that the long years of struggle, worry, and waiting had not been in vain. They began to allow themselves to hope again, cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. Understanding that Ethan's life might truly be transformed. Ethan himself began to dream in a new way. He imagined running through the gardens, seeing the colors of flowers and trees, recognizing faces with ease, and experiencing the world fully. The darkness that had been so constant was no longer absolute, replaced by faint lights that promised more each day. For the first time, he felt the thrill of possibility, the sense that his life could expand beyond what he had ever imagined. Each morning became an adventure, a chance to see something new, a reminder that the miracle was not just a single moment, but a journey. Even the smallest things brought deep emotions. Ethan's laughter echoed through the mansion as he finally saw his mother's gentle eyes. His father's proud smile made him feel a warmth he had never truly understood, and Lily, the girl who had brought the mysterious solution, watched quietly, her heart full, knowing that this was only the beginning, that the tiny spark of hope she had ignited would grow into something much greater. A life full of color, experience, and joy. And so, with each passing day, Ethan's world expanded, from the faint outlines of objects to the soft glow of colors, from the first recognition of faces to the quiet joy of exploring his surroundings. He began to understand that miracles were not just moments of magic, but experiences that grew, that hope, patience, and kindness could slowly change a life in ways no wealth or power ever could. Days passed, and Ethan's vision continued to improve, but nothing prepared his family for the moment when the full miracle unfolded. It started one morning when he opened his eyes and, for the first time, could see the world with clarity, not just shapes or shadows, not just faint colors, but the full depth, the richness, and the beauty of everything around him, the golden sunlight streaming through the windows, the intricate patterns on the walls, the delicate petals of roses in the garden, all of it suddenly existed in a way he could fully understand. Ethan blinked several times, almost unable to believe what he was seeing. The familiar faces of his parents, which he had known through sound and touch, now appeared in their true forms, every detail visible, the gentle curve of his mother's smile, the sparkle in his father's eyes, the warmth and love etched into their expressions. He reached out instinctively, touching his mother's face, feeling it and seeing it at the same time. A sensation that brought tears to his eyes, the realization that he could truly see, that he could finally experience life as others did, filled him with a mixture of awe, joy, and disbelief. His parents, who had watched the transformation with cautious hope, could no longer contain their emotions. Tears streamed down their faces as they embraced Ethan, feeling the reality of his recovery. Every failed attempt, every heartbreak, every moment of despair was suddenly replaced by wonder. A lifetime of longing had culminated in this single, miraculous moment. The doctors, who had been skeptics just days before, were now astonished, unable to explain how a simple solution could produce such a profound transformation. Ethan's excitement grew as he explored the world with his newly restored sight. Each day brought a sense of discovery and amazement. The garden, which he had known through touch and smell, now dazzled him with colors he had never imagined. The green of the grass, the red and yellow of the flowers, the blue of the sky. Every shade was brighter than he had pictured in his mind. Every leaf, every blade of grass, every drop of dew held a story, and he was eager to see them all. Lily, who had guided him through the process, watched silently, a quiet smile on her face. Her heart swelled with joy, knowing that her efforts had brought this incredible change. She had believed in the possibility, even when others doubted, and now the proof was undeniable. The miracle was not just in the physical restoration of sight, but in the way it transformed Ethan's understanding of the world. His senses, once relied upon for touch and sound alone, now worked in harmony with his vision, giving him a fuller, richer perception of life. Ethan's parents marveled at how quickly their son had adapted, how naturally he explored his surroundings, how eagerly he absorbed every detail. They realized that the gift of sight had opened more than just his eyes, it had opened his heart. His laughter rang through the mansion, a sound they had longed to hear in a new context, filled with genuine joy rather than the cautious happiness of limited experience. The mansion, once heavy with quiet longing, now vibrated with life, excitement, and gratitude, every corner illuminated not just by sunlight, but by the renewed hope in their hearts. The full miracle did more than restore vision, it changed the family forever. Ethan began to see the world not as something distant or imagined, but as something he could experience, touch, and share. The joy of being able to recognize faces, explore the environment, and witness beauty in its true form brought an energy into his life that no wealth or comfort had ever provided. Even the simplest things, watching a bird take flight, seeing the intricate details of a flower, observing the expressions of friends, became moments of wonder, filling Ethan's life with awe and gratitude. And as the days went on, the family realized that this miracle was more than just physical restoration. It was a reminder that hope, patience, and kindness could achieve the impossible, that even in the darkest moments, when despair feels strongest, miracles can emerge in ways no one expects. And at the center of it all was Lily, the humble, determined girl whose faith and care had unlocked a world of light for Ethan. Her presence had transformed not only his life, but the lives of everyone who loved him. In that grand mansion, once shadowed by years of longing and uncertainty, a new life began, full of color, light, and possibility. Ethan's journey from darkness to sight was no longer a dream, it was a reality, a testament to the extraordinary power of hope, courage, and compassion. After the miracle of his restored sight, Ethan's world had changed completely, yet what transformed the family most was not just his ability to see, but the connection that grew stronger between them. The mansion, once filled with quiet longing and careful routines, now rang with laughter, curiosity, and warmth. Ethan discovered a new way to experience life, not only through his eyes but through the emotions and relationships around him. And this brought a sense of joy that could not be measured in wealth or luxury. Lily, the girl who had made the miracle possible, remained a constant presence, guiding Ethan as he navigated the world he had longed to see. She did not rush him, nor did she overwhelm him with advice, but walked beside him patiently, letting him explore at his own pace, teaching him not just to see, but to understand and appreciate. The bond between them deepened with every shared moment, from quiet walks in the garden to discussions about colors, shapes, and the beauty of the world that Ethan had never known. Each day spent with Lily was a lesson in trust, friendship, and the simple power of caring. Ethan's parents, who had lived for years in a mixture of hope and anxiety, now felt a profound sense of gratitude, not only for Lily but for the chance to witness their son experiencing life fully. They watched him with amazement as he discovered things they had taken for granted, the curve of the staircase, the shimmer of sunlight on the marble floors, the intricate designs of furniture they had carefully chosen. For the first time, they could see life through Ethan's eyes, experiencing the wonder and excitement of discovery anew. Their hearts swelled with a mixture of relief, pride, and admiration, realizing that this miracle had brought them closer as a family. Ethan, too, began to feel a new connection to those around him. The people he loved were no longer just voices or touches, they were living, breathing presences with faces, expressions, and emotions he could now see clearly. The bond with his parents grew stronger with every glance, every smile, every shared moment of joy. He could finally see the love in their eyes, the pride in their smiles, and the relief that came from years of waiting for this day. It was as if sight had added a new dimension to the relationships he had always cherished, making them richer and more meaningful. Lily became more than just a guide or a helper, she became a part of the family. Her humility, patience, and wisdom had not only restored Ethan's sight but had strengthened the emotional bonds that held the family together. She shared stories, taught him about the world, and celebrated every small discovery with genuine joy. Her presence reminded everyone that sometimes, miracles come not just from medicine or science, but from compassion, dedication, and belief. The family's gratitude was boundless, and they began to see that their lives had been enriched far beyond their wealth. Together, they explored the mansion and the gardens, sharing moments that were once impossible. Ethan marveled at the colors of the flowers, the texture of the tree bark under his fingers while seeing it fully, and the playful expressions of animals in the garden. Each experience was accompanied by laughter, wonder, and amazement. The simplest joys, once invisible, now held profound meaning, reminding everyone that life's beauty often lies in the small, overlooked details. As days turned into weeks, Ethan's bond with Lily and his family deepened further. It was not just about sight, but about understanding, empathy, and love. He learned to appreciate kindness, patience, and the courage it took to help others. His parents realized that the miracle had taught them as much as it had taught him, that true wealth lies not in money, but in love, gratitude, and the bonds we share. Every evening, the family would gather together, sharing stories, laughter, and reflections, celebrating not only the miracle itself but the connection it had brought into their lives. And so, the mansion, once quiet and shadowed, now glowed with light, warmth, and love. Ethan's life was forever changed, but so were the hearts of those who had nurtured him, guided him, and believed in the impossible. Through this shared journey, they had learned that miracles are not only about what happens to a single person, but about the way they bring people together, strengthen bonds, and create gratitude that touches every corner of life. The gift of sight had become a gift of connection, trust, and family. Life for Ethan had transformed in ways he had only dreamed of. The darkness that had once defined his world was gone, replaced by colors, shapes, and a vivid sense of life that filled every corner of his being. But more than the miracle of sight, what had truly changed was the way he experienced the world. Every moment became precious, every detail fascinating. Every person and place now held meaning that stretched far beyond what he had imagined. Ethan walked through the mansion with newfound confidence, his eyes wide with wonder. He examined the patterns on the walls, the shimmer of sunlight through the windows, and the lush greenery of the gardens outside. Each flower seemed to sparkle, every leaf glowed with life, and even the tiniest insects caught his attention. Every step felt like an adventure, a discovery, a celebration of the beauty that had always existed but had been invisible to him. His world was no longer limited to sound and touch. He could now fully appreciate the majesty and intricacy of life itself. The bond between Ethan and Lily had deepened into something extraordinary. They shared moments of laughter, curiosity, and awe, and she became not only a guide but a lifelong friend and mentor. Her patience, care, and unwavering belief had unlocked a world of possibility for him, and her presence reminded Ethan of the power of kindness and trust. Every time he looked at her, he saw not only the girl who had given him sight but also a symbol of hope, courage, and compassion, the mysterious eye. Solution had been the instrument, but Lily had been the heart behind the miracle. Ethan's parents, too, felt a profound transformation. Their lives had always been defined by wealth and status, but now they understood that the true treasures of life were intangible. The love they shared with their son, the gratitude they felt for the miracle, and the renewed hope that filled their hearts were far more valuable than anything money could buy. They watched Ethan explore the world with eyes full of wonder, and in those moments, they realized that their family had been reborn, strengthened by resilience, hope, and the miracle that had changed everything. Every day brought new experiences and emotions. Ethan discovered the joy of seeing simple things that most people took for granted, the sparkle of morning dew, the patterns of clouds in the sky, the colors of the seasons, and the expressions of friends and family. Each sight became a lesson in gratitude, teaching him to cherish the world and everyone in it. He laughed more freely, hugged more tightly, and noticed subtleties in the world that filled him with awe. The darkness of his past was now a memory, a chapter of life that had made him strong but no longer defined him. The miracle also gave Ethan a deeper understanding of himself and others. He had always felt emotions deeply, sensed others' feelings, and noticed small details that escaped most people, but now, with sight, his understanding of the world expanded. He could see the kindness in someone's eyes, the joy on a friend's face, the beauty of a stranger's gesture, and the colors of moments that had been invisible before. Every interaction became richer, every experience more meaningful, and every relationship strengthened by this newfound perspective. Ethan realized that life was a gift, and every day was an opportunity to live fully. He dreamed of exploring places he had only imagined, of helping others who faced challenges like his own, and of using his experience to inspire hope. The miracle had given him more than vision. It had given him purpose, the courage to embrace life, and the desire to make a difference in the world. His heart was full, and his mind was alive with possibilities he had never dared to imagine. And so, the mansion that had once been a place of quiet longing became a home of laughter, learning, and love. Ethan's life had been forever changed, not just by the restoration of sight, but by the people who had cared for him, the hope that had never faded, and the miracle that had proven the impossible could be real, the story of the millionaire's son who had been blind, and the girl who performed a miracle with a mysterious eye solution, became a testament to the power of belief, compassion, and the extraordinary ways that life can surprise us. Ethan looked at the world with gratitude, hope, and wonder, knowing that while darkness had been a part of his past, it would never define his future. Every sunrise, every smile, and every color reminded him that miracles exist, not just as rare events, but as the result of love, courage, and faith. And as he walked forward into this bright, vibrant world, he carried with him the lesson that life is most beautiful when we embrace it fully, appreciate it deeply, and share it with those who make it meaningful.